currently practicing in Antique province. It's an underserved community, and my being there is also by choice during the pandemic because they don't have an oncologist in the area. So currently, I'm the only oncologist in a 600,000 population. So for me as an oncologist, the most rewarding experience is really to see my patients finish off their treatment and winning in life and to be victorious against cancer. But that is not really the story in the province or in the underserved communities because the story always ends in treatment discontinuation. But most of the time, they find it difficult to navigate just to get through the first step. It's because when unexpected illness strikes them, they did not prepare for it actually. So that's why I help patients lobby through advocacies and bridge whatever gaps that I can help them with. I go to government offices to champion their cause. I mean, I cannot help them with all things, but at least in some things, I can get them started.
So that actually propelled you to being the cancer champion that you are. So thank you so much for that. And you mentioned earlier about the discontinuation of treatment. So would you say, among the cancer patients that you have worked with in the past, would you say that that would be the biggest challenge, or what would be the biggest challenge?
The biggest challenge is really first getting or coming into terms that you have cancer, because patients come in various walks of life. Some of them are mothers, some of them are single moms, some of them are breadwinners. So they still need to come into terms of what's going to happen next. Or some would even forego their treatment just because his or her eldest is about to go to college, and they would rather put in their savings for college funds of their children. And others who get stricken by critical illness, they will be the first breadwinner of their family. So sometimes it pains me to see that. And there are government offices also, there are help available, but it doesn't come instantly. You have to fall in line, you have to wait for your turn, and sometimes walang pondo sa month na to, you have to come back the next month. So help doesn't come very easy. And with technological advancement, some application comes through online forms, and underserved communities, they don't even have emails, they don't know how it is to apply online. So they struggle. There is a struggle.
That is true. All right, now, I'm just curious also, Miss Connie, because you yourself being a cancer survivor, was that true for you, what Dr. Lee said?
Yes, I remember when my doctor told me that I may have to go through chemotherapy, my mind went on a spin back to when my father was being treated of cancer, and two big worries came to mind. First, I asked, will my mother have to go through the same experience of taking care of another loved one and to see that person die, or and lose that person to cancer? So that was my first thing that came to mind. And second, I said, oh no, my savings will be depleted and we may have to sell the things that I was able to save up or to have accumulated. I was diagnosed of cancer only 4 years ago, so by the time I had already, I was quite financially stable already, but I do remember what it was when my father was in the hospital, and literally every hour, by the hour, there's somebody knocking in our hospital room and giving us a copy of the medical bills because it goes up every hour. And so my right doc, I'm the breadwinner, I'm the main breadwinner of the family, and so yeah, it is a worry.
Well, I cannot imagine what you went through. I'm sure it was very, very difficult. And seeing you now, I'm very happy to see you here, very healthy. So, but going back to what Dr. Lee said, when she said, you mentioned that when you first hear the diagnosis, you really don't know what to do because you never expect it, right? So there is like a period of stunt paralysis, is what they call it. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's true.
All right. So how is it important? How important is it for patients to move past that initial shock and seek immediate medical attention? Because honestly, for me, I would not be able to think about the next step right away. It will be difficult.
The role of family support is really of prime importance in getting past the initial shock. Because if you have your family with you, somebody fights with you and for you, yung parang kaya natin to, ako nang bahala, may mga ganon, may ganon. And so when they hear that, oh, tutulungan naman pala ako eh, and then suddenly they would say, tumawag si ganito from US, magpapadala daw ng ganyan. I think that's the initial hope that they see when family gets together to help the patient fight this disease. Because it's not a one-time thing. I'm sure Ma'am Connie knows it. It's once you're diagnosed with critical illness, it's not an overnight thing, but it's a repeated thing. You get through phases. Like if you have to undergo surgery first, after surgery there's chemotherapy, and sometimes there's radiation therapy, and then there's more after that. And if there are unexpected side effects, there's going to be more pa.
Okay. So is that the same as you? Did you experience stun paralysis?
Well, I was alone at that time, so I had no choice. I had to like keep on moving. But what Doc Tony said is true, right? So there are many things. So until now, so I'm on my 4th year. So every time I go to the doctor, and I still take my CA125 test. So that's the blood test that tells you if your cancer cells are being stable or if it's moving up. I still have that a little bit of thump in my heart. So it really is like long term.
Okay, well, it is important to have support, as you mentioned. So speaking of support, Ms. Joanne, you mentioned earlier that BPI Kaya Care provides support as well. So, but in its own way. Can you talk about that?
Yes, so this is what BPI Kaya Care really stands for, is to provide that immediate access. So we know that cancer treatment is very costly. Like what Dr. Tony said, there's chemotherapy, radiation, and then surgery. But when I presented earlier, the limits are quite, manageable. The premiums are accessible. And it is something that they can use first to access that care while they, get the funds that they need to complete the treatment. And most importantly, what we want to give to the customers is for them to be able to, see what comes next. Like, okay, sige, we can go to treatment already. They won't, paano natin? Saan tayo kukuha? Kanino tayo uutang? So, things like that are the problems we want to address.
Yes, that's true. Because, having that amount of money, the money doesn't buy you good health, it buys you peace of mind. Not just for yourself, but for your entire family. And that is beautiful. Alright, now Dr. Tony, I also want to mention that you are now working on a new advocacy group. Is that correct? Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, I just wanted to build up on what Joanne said, that the Kaya Care is affordable and it may not cover everything, but at least for the first steps in the journey, you get to cover yourself already. The thing is, health insurance really is not that popular. A lot of my patients don't have the health insurance because it's the kind of insurance na parang feeling ng mga tao, wala kasi yung return for me. They would rather go for buying properties, buying something that has a high percentage that goes back to them, that has dividends. But I see a lot of stories and I've seen a lot of patients who ended up selling all this hard-earned, the properties you worked for, you wanted to be your investment. They sold it at a paluging price just so they can have the money for the first cycle of treatment. So for me, it's like having a health insurance is like your safety net so that you don't end up losing everything that you've worked so hard for.
Yes, that's correct. And having it so affordable and so accessible makes it so easy for the Filipinos to avail of it.
Yes, and so going back to the advocacy in the Antique province, we have what we call the Every First campaign. It's an initiative actually to provide the first cycle of chemotherapy for free for patients who are having a hard time just getting by the first cycle. The reason for that is if we get to cover all the cycles, we might just help very few patients. But if we cover for the first cycle, we get to help a lot of patients. Because usually, during cycle 2, cycle 3, cycle 4, they begin to get help from government offices already. So it's the first cycle that gets them going. It's the boost that they need to fight till the end. We wanted to cheer them up this way, that when they go to the clinic, we can joyfully tell them that even this is such a bad news to have cancer, but don't worry, your first cycle is covered. Something like that.
It actually buys them time to
Yes.
prepare for the next steps.
To navigate, to get things sink in.
Yes. Dr. Tony, that's so amazing. It's so insightful and so inspiring, and the incredible work that you're doing with Every First. It's truly a reminder of how much impact thoughtful initiatives like this, can have effect on people's lives. So that's it. That's a very insightful Q&A with everybody here. So to cement this moment, we would like to invite our distinguished guests on stage for a very, very quick photo op. So please join me here up front. All right, and to continue the conversation and give everyone a